Times were tough, so I sold my soul. And I don't think I'll ever regain control. Devil looked me in the eye, now I look the other way. What else could I do? I just stood at the doorway, knew I'd rather be drunk with you. I'd rather be drunk.
Hey Internet, Dracofunk here, and welcome back to my 100 subscriber special, the Highway 47 channel. In this special, we are driving a Rover from the North Pole to the South Pole. So, we've had an accident. Last episode, I flew a new locomotive out to the Rover train, and we are going to attach it. But first we need to release the remains of the front section, and I'm going to release the brakes so the Rover train can roll back just a little bit. There we go. I want to add, this Rover train is not sponsored by Norfolk Southern. Which, if you're following the news, Norfolk Southern is having some issues with a couple major train derailments, especially in Ohio. They've had 2 in the last month. Which, I follow trains and stuff, and I know that derailments aren't 100% as uncommon as people believe. Most of the time, they happen quite frequently, like almost 3 a day. Most of the time, though, they are minor, and it's not really a big issue. However, Norfolk Southern has had several very large ones, including one in East Palestine, Ohio, where some toxic chemicals spilled. Yeah. All in all, a bad thing. But let's get back to this Rover train. Now, I have found myself in not the greatest position. And I realized if I continue forward, I am going to... what it comes down to is I wasn't really paying attention to the route I was taking, and I'm basically going into a section where there's a lake, and there's no good way for me to go, so I'm going to have to go back around this little crater and then head around that lake. And I need to be more careful in this section. So it's going to be a little bit slow going. I need to actually just zoom out and pick my route. So yeah, I'd hoped by this episode to have reached the aircraft I'm using as a marker, but that is not going to happen right now. I mean, we had the little accident which kind of stopped us on the episode, and then last episode we needed to bring a new locomotive out and get it there. But we are now cautiously making our way around this crater, and then we need to get around the lake. And right now we are not even heading towards our target. You can see there's a big, I don't know that it's a crater, but it's an indentation in the ground that would be very difficult to traverse. So I'm trying to go around that. and find the best path. So you're going to see me a lot during this episode zooming out just to see which way to go. Because well, 2 episodes ago is I wasn't really paying that much attention, and that's how we got into this situation. And it's because for the last couple episodes I've been driving on an ice flat, and I could pretty much go as fast as I wanted to. And if I don't sound quite like myself, this time of year I have just general congestion. It's not COVID, I have tested. But I'm just kind of, all stuffed up and stuffy, and it's not my favorite time of year, but it happens, and, well, it's a thing. So there are some sparse vegetations in this part of Kerbin. I forget what those trees are called. I heard somebody call them by some name. And I'm around the little crater indentation, but now I need to get around the lake before I can start heading towards where the aircraft is parked. I do have an So part of the way the aircraft is supposed to work is it's supposed to land and then it can refuel, but where it has landed there is no fuel in the ground, which is a problem. I it's not completely out of fuel, so I will be able to fly it somewhere else. However, if there is no fuel there, then we will have a bit of a problem. And I'm still trying to just make it around that lake. And then off in the distance, we can see the mountains. The aircraft is on the right side of that mountain range that's off in the distance. So right now I'm heading directly towards the mountain range, and that's just so I can get around this lake that's right on the coast. And not only that, I just have to be very cautious about the terrain in this area, and I'm going to have to really scan the best route I can. So I'm just continuing on. So, as of today, currently, Booster 7 has been taken off the orbital launch platform, and they are upgrading that in anticipation of the first attempted launch of Starship. It's, at one point we were talking about a December launch, and then it became, well, it's probably going to be in February. February became, well, early March, late March, and now I'm thinking mid April, mid to late April is my guess. But who really knows? I don't think they have yet been approved by the FAA for a launch license, which has to happen first. You can see me tapping the brakes on the Rover. I'm being very, very cautious now because I don't want to have another accident. So actually, I'm using the brakes now more than I have in the past. And I'm just looking for the best route to get to, well, to get around the lake. I do have a timer going, and when that timer reaches about an hour, I will stop and we'll move on to the next episode. So, also, today is the day when I normally release the Reusable Space Program episode. I am still recording for some of that. I've been busy with my real life obligations, which have kind of made it hard for me to get as much done otherwise on this project. I'm still recording for the Reusable Space Program. We're at a point where I have infrastructure in orbit of Duna, and I need to send the next set of things to Duna. I'm going to put a lot of equipment and infrastructure on the interplanetary probe that sent the satellites there. But first, it needs to be refueled. And it's going to take probably 4 trips from the tanker. I might be able to do it in 3. But 4 trips from the tanker to refuel it, which it might take 2 trips from the lander to fully refuel the tanker. So we're talking maybe 8 mining cycles. And to be fair, I've already completed half of that now. And it's mostly refueled. Like at the time of recording the save, the mining craft is docked to the interplanetary probe in orbit of Kerbin. And it needs to travel back to the Mun to pick up another load of liquid fuel. This time I sent oxidizer to Duna the first time, and I'm not really sure why. That was just added weight. I'm going to not do that this time because the interplanetary probe doesn't need rocket fuel. At some point in time, that can act as a fuel reserve once it gets to Duna. That might be one of the things I do, but I'm not sure yet. So to the right, you can kind of see a little section of lighter terrain, and I think that just there's just a little small indentation there. I thought maybe that was going down into the lake, but I'm a little bit further away from it than I thought. So Surdrid and Kinney are now part of the expedition. I didn't quite intend for that, but They did kind of crash their aircraft, which had to land a little bit further away. I may send them back at a later time, but for now they're stuck on the Rover train. And I think I will send a craft to pick them up. But hey, put a message in the comments. Where should Kenny and Surdrid end up? Should they... I guess the destinations could be Enterprise Station in Kerbin Orbit, Minus, or even Duna. Like, where would you like me to send them? Let's just keep it simple. The Mun, Minmus, or Duna. I guess we can include Ike in that, because there will be I am going to actually have an Ike station. So, 4 choices. Mun, Minmus, Duna, or Ike. And I will get Kenny and Surdrid there as soon as I can. It's going to be a little while because they're stuck on the Rover train in the middle. Well, not in the middle. They're still in the northern part of Kerbin. So I'm going to have to fly an aircraft out to pick them up and get them back to the Space Center. Otherwise, it'd be cheating. Dracofunk Kerbin right there is having a good old time. Everybody else seems to be a little bit cautious. Now, this kind of conservative driving is actually, like, if you're watching my electricity, I'm not using nearly as much. So I was basically running flat out and just consuming all my electricity the past couple episodes. But with this type of driving, I'm staying towards the end of fully charged. But hey, look at the time. We have now used up all our time, and so I'm going to stop right here, and this is where we will end for the day. And I will probably try and do another segment of this coming out Wednesday. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.